Have you ever faced a moment where trust meant risking everything? Today, we're diving into the unforgettable true story of Elias Booker, a black rancher who stood alone in the Arizona desert until 10 Apache warriors changed his life forever. This isn't just about survival, it's about courage, redemption, and a legacy that echoes through time. Drop a comment. When have you trusted against the odds? Smash that like button, subscribe, and join the Fairyland family for stories that uncover powerful truths. Let us ride into this epic tale. The Arizona desert stretched endless and unforgiving under a blazing sun in the summer of 1869, its heat turning the horizon into a trembling mirage. Elias Booker, a 38-year-old black rancher, stood on the creaking porch of his one-room cabin, his dark eyes scanning the 50 acres of scrubland he called home. For 4 years, no soul had crossed his land, no neighbors, no visitors, only the wind's mournful scrape and the distant lowing of his 20 head of cattle. Born into slavery in Georgia in the early 1830s, Elias had fought in the Civil War, his freedom won through blood and loss. He headed west with a battered mule, a worn Bible, and memories he buried deep. His cabin, built with calloused hands, was his fortress, solitude, his shield. Trust was a luxury he'd long abandoned, not for the army, not for the townsfolk of Dusty Hollow, not even for the preacher who rode through monthly with hollow promises. Elias hadn't always been a loner. As a boy, he dreamed of open skies, but slavery's chains bound him to a Georgia plantation, where he learned to read in secret, stealing moments with a tattered primer. The Civil War broke those chains, but freedom came at a cost. Friends lost, a brother buried, a world that still saw him as less. He wandered west, breaking horses, mending wagons, but townsfolk whispered, their eyes cold. Too proud, they said, or too quiet. So Elias claimed a barren stretch of southern Arizona, unwanted by settlers, and made it his own. He dug a well, raised cattle, and lived off beans, tobacco, and silence. Every Saturday, he rode into Dusty Hollow for supplies, his face a mask, ignoring stares and murmurs. He'd seen humanity's cruelty. Trust was a risk he wouldn't take. But on a scorching afternoon, as the sun bled red into the horizon, everything changed. Elias was mending a fence when he spotted them, 10 silhouettes on horseback, shimmering through heat waves. Not cowboys, not soldiers, their braided hair and lean frames marked them as Apache, a people feared and hunted by settlers and the army alike. His hand drifted to the rifle leaning against a post, instinct honed by years alone. Stories of Apache raids, some true, some lies, echoed in his mind. He straightened as they approached his gate, dust swirling around their horses. Leading them was Atsa, a tall, broad-shouldered woman, her presence commanding, her eyes sharp with desperation. She dismounted, meeting Elias's gaze without fear. "We seek shelter," she said, voice steady but urgent. "One night. We're hunted." Elias's grip on his rifle tightened. "Why my land?" he asked, his voice low, wary. Atsa's eyes held no deception, only resolve. "Soldiers chase us for horse theft," a lie. "They shoot first, ask nothing. We need rest, nothing more." Behind her, the group, mostly young, some barely men, showed signs of exhaustion. A boy limped, his leg wrapped in cloth. Another coughed, his breath ragged. They carried no weapons beyond knives, their faces etched with survival's weight. Elias hesitated, his past screaming caution. He'd been betrayed before by men promising work, only to cheat him, by soldiers claiming justice, only to deliver violence. But Atsa's plea wasn't a demand, it was a need, raw and human. One night, Elias said finally, nodding toward his barn, "Stay there. Don't touch my stock." Atsa inclined her head, a gesture of respect, and led her group to the barn, their steps quiet but deliberate. Elias watched every move, expecting theft or trouble. But none came. By morning, he found his fence repaired, posts straightened where they'd sagged for months. The barn was cleaner, hay stacked neatly. A young Apache, barely 16, showed him how to stretch cloth at dawn to catch dew, a trick to ease the desert's thirst. Elias shared his meager stores: cornmeal, beans, dried beef, and they ate sparingly, thanking him with nods. One night stretched to 3, then a week. Respect, quiet and unspoken, grew between them. It wasn't friendship, but something deeper: trust, fragile and untested. Elias's days took on a new rhythm. He worked alongside the Apaches, their hands quick and skilled. Atsa, a leader among her people, spoke little but observed everything, her presence steadying the group. The limping boy, Kale, began to heal, his leg bandaged with herbs the Apaches carried. The coughing warrior, Tiva, grew stronger with rest. Elias noticed their discipline: no one touched his tools or cattle without permission. One evening, as they shared a meal of cornbread and stew under a starlit sky, Atsa sat by the fire, her gaze on the flames. "Why live alone out here?" she asked softly. Elias stared into the fire, the weight of years pressing down. "Folks either wanted to own me or erase me. Out here, I answer to no one." Atsa nodded, her eyes reflecting the firelight. "We know that freedom. And its price." Their shared silence forged a bond neither expected. Elias's past began to surface in fragments. Born to a mother who sang spirituals under Georgia's oaks, he'd learned resilience early. At 15, he'd escaped a whipping by hiding in a swamp, his heart pounding as dogs bayed. The war gave him a rifle and a purpose, but also scars, physical and not. A white officer's betrayal, promising safety but delivering ambush, taught him distrust. Arizona was his escape, but solitude had become its own cage. The Apache's presence stirred something: a memory of community, of shared struggle. He saw himself in their defiance, their refusal to bow to a world that hunted them. But peace was fleeting. A week later, hoofbeats broke the dawn. 6 soldiers rode up, dust trailing their horses, rifles glinting. The captain, a grizzled man with sunburned skin, dismounted with a sneer. "We're hunting Apache runaways. Hand them over dead or alive." Elias stepped onto his porch, shotgun resting on his shoulder, not raised but ready. "They're on my land. You'll go through me first. The soldiers froze, stunned. A black man defying them? You'd protect savages? The captain spat. After their raids? Elias's voice was steel. They've done nothing but work and survive. Leave. The standoff stretched, the air crackling. A soldier muttered, recognizing Elias from town, a man they'd ignored. Finally, the captain backed down, muttering threats as they rode off. That night, Elias knew the soldiers would return. He told Atsa, "You need to go mountains, now." Atsa met his eyes, gratitude unspoken. Before they left, she pressed a leather pouch into his hands, containing a carved Apache stone, its edges worn smooth. "You gave us more than shelter," she said. "You gave us hope." The Apaches vanished into the night, their hoofbeats fading. Elias stood alone, the stone heavy in his palm, his solitude now a choice, not a burden. Word spread fast. Dusty Hollow buzzed with tales of the black rancher who faced down soldiers. Some called him reckless, others, a hero. The preacher, once ignored, began visiting, sharing Elias's story in sermons. Apache traders, passing through years later, spoke of Atsa's group, safe in the mountains, their survival tied to Elias's stand. The stone became a symbol, passed down in Apache lore and Elias's own legacy, etched into the land he declaimed. Decades later, his ranch became a gathering place for outcasts, freedmen, wanderers, even Apaches who found refuge where trust was born. Elias, once a loner, died a legend, his name whispered in stories of defiance and humanity. What does courage mean to you? Comment below, smash that like button, and subscribe to Fairyland for more stories of heart and defiance. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Until next time.